Hi there and welcome once again to our review of the daily devotionals from Way UK. Again, I thought this week it would be fun if we combine 2 weeks by looking back over the week just past and looking forward to the one to come. Well, why do I suggest that? Well, it's because we know that we're reading through the story of Joseph. The beginning of this last week we've reached Genesis 42, starting at verse 25, and you know it sort of carries on beyond that. But it's just something that really struck me very much as I was looking back over this the last week's devotionals. One of the things is that it seemed really interesting to me that you can read the stories through, you can read the adventures, if you like, of Joseph. But then, what really strikes me anyway about a lot of the things is the similarities in the stories, or the parallels that can be drawn with Jesus' life. But not only that, just sort of quite random thoughts. For example, I'm just looking at this, and I'm not so sure that I actually mentioned this at the time. I'm just having a look. No, I didn't. But here's something I want to really draw attention to. When the money was found in the brothers' sacks, it says they were filled with terror and said to each other, "What has God done to us?" As I sort of sat down and thinking about the review of the week, that suddenly really hit me again. So often people say about incidents, well, I don't know why God's done that. You know, anything bad happens and everybody blames God. Anything good happens and people say, oh, you know, how clever we are to work this out. Well, I think it's a bit sad actually, because people, I think if the brothers had had a closer relationship with God, they wouldn't have had so many questions. They might have understood more. And it's just that as a thought that came to me. I mean, what else happened during the week? Well, it was all about those sacks and the money being returned in them. And when the brothers got back to their father, they went immediately to speak to him about the sacks and the problems. And I know it reminded me very much of Oscar Wilde. You know, to lose one brother could be regarded as a misfortune. To lose two looks like carelessness. And it's just that there's so much of our ordinary everyday lives, you know, come into these devotionals. And we looked at fear this week. And it's important for us to remember that men of God are not superheroes. Men of God are open to the same pressures as anybody else in life. But it's how we go through stuff, it's how we react to it that's important, and that helps us sort of continue and carry on walking the walk of God. Finally, for this week, well, you know, Jacob is vulnerable as we are, because you know he's concerned, he's fearful about losing more than he's already lost, and yet he is the one who's called Jacob, or rather he's called Israel, because God said, "You have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed." It just shows us that well, we need to get out of fear to get into clarity. And if we're frightened about anything, we need to deal with that first, otherwise we just don't think straight. Looking forward to next week, well, we're going to be looking from Genesis 43, verse 11 onwards, and we'll be looking again at this continuing the damaging effects of fear. We're going to be discovering more about that. We're going to find out what breeds fear, and we're going to find out something which is going to be far better than that, finding out about God's love, mercy and grace in practical operation. So we're going to have some fun with that. And as Joseph carried on, it's just a reminder, and I don't think this is giving anything away, but one of the things that comes out of next week's reading, you look around the 8th of July and you'll find it, and that is that when God says something, it doesn't matter how many years it takes to happen, it will happen, because God's word is true, and things that he says to you will come to pass. And it may not seem like that, but if it's genuinely a promise from God, you can rely upon it that he will fulfill it, and he won't let you down. He's one person who never will. I'm going to leave it there. There is one other thing that's covered next week, but I don't want to cover that at the moment. What I'd love to say to you is the point of daily devotionals, the point of just taking that time, usually at the beginning of the day, you get into work, just switch on the computer or before you leave for work, is to give you something to think about that focuses your attention upon Jesus. Now, the reason is very simple, because men seldom have answers to problems, but Jesus always does, and he always has a ready ear to listen. That's a really good reason to check all the links, go through, and if you've not got the emails coming to you of the daily devotionals, to actually click on that to receive them, so that your mind is focused on something positive before you tackle the day. God bless you, and have a great weekend and week.